Monday, July 30th, 2018, Monaco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. So this morning, I want to talk a little bit about the Bank of England, the UK economy, and what's going on. And yeah, it's going to be a very busy week in terms of data, central bank meetings, Bank of Japan meeting today and tomorrow. We'll have to see what they come out with. Last week, there's speculation already that they were thinking of reining in their QE. Bond yields spiked throughout the world. We'll have to see what they say. Bank of England is expected to raise rates on Thursday. So before I go further, though, let's quickly look at the prices this morning. It's 8:20 a.m. London. So we've got spot gold at 12, 20, 25, down about $3. Range has been 12.19 to 12.24. So we're still here stuck a little bit. We haven't made new lows. The low was a couple weeks ago, I think now, around 12.12. The key resistance is around 12.36. That was a no low, old low that we broke recently, and that drove the market even lower. Silver is at 15.42, down 6 cents. The range has been 15.53 to 15.39, so just off the lows. Stock markets are a little weaker this morning, not that much though. The Dow is down 36, that's less than 0.2% at 25,415. S&P down 7, that's 0.25%, 2,812. NASDAQ 100 future is down 30 points, or just over 1/3%, that's 72.66. Currencies as well, very little activity this morning. The pound is up marginally, only 7 pips at 131.14. It has been down to 130.92, but not much to talk about there. We could see some fireworks on Thursday after the Bank of England, and I'll talk about that in a minute. The euro is unchanged, basically 116.50, a very narrow range overnight. Dollar up slightly, up marginally 6 pips against the yen, 111.09. We have been as low as 110.87 overnight. What about the yuan? Chinese yuan is down a little bit, so the dollar is up 0.15% at 683. WTI crude is back below 69. It's at 68.64. The 10-year yield, where are we? Let's see. Yeah, it's at 296, up 1 basis point. That 3% level still a key barrier there. Cryptocurrencies are weaker overall here. Bitcoin is off from the recent 24-hour highs at 8,000, just below 8,300. We're now 8,144. So the cryptocurrencies, yeah, kind of stalled right now. So what have we got in terms of data and events? Well, we've got the Bank of Japan. They're meeting today and tomorrow. The news will come out early London time tomorrow, overnight from Monday to Tuesday. Will be interesting to keep an eye on what they say and what they do. The other key central bank meeting will be the Bank of England. They meet on Thursday, and they are expected to raise interest rates from 0.5% to 0.75%, and that would be the first time since 2009, almost 10 years, that Bank of England rates go above 0.5%. So you tell me if that's hawkish. That's ridiculous. On average, the Bank of England rate or interest rates for the last 300 years have been around 5, maybe even 6% historically, and we're not even at 1%, and we've been at 0.5% and below for almost 10 years. And there will also be a press conference they will come out with their economic projections, which in my opinion is just like propaganda to make people think in the way they want people to think, to keep the game going, right? So I wouldn't put too much into what they say. The pound, of course, could move on that day quite sharply either way. It could even do it before Thursday. There's a lot of talk about a hard Brexit. People are saying that it could be disastrous, could be fear-mongering in my opinion, but nevertheless, that's out there. The other interesting thing that I saw, an article in Zero Hedge about the UK, and I put that together with the context of what the Bank of England is doing and how low interest rates are. And it was from yesterday, actually, came out yesterday, early yesterday. It says UK household debt, and I quote, worse than at any time on record. And it says here, Brits are living beyond their means like never before. In 2017, each household spent or invested about £900, more than they received on average. £25 billion in total, according to the Office of National Statistics article published this week. Britons were previously net borrowers in 1988, so 30 years. The height of a credit-fueled economic boom generated by then Chancellor of the Exchequer, Nigel Lawson. But even then, the shortfall was just £300 million. Now it's £25 billion, right? And I think back then, I wasn't living here. My wife tells me about it. Interest rates started going up, and mortgage rates were double digits. You had to pay like 10-12% to borrow if you wanted to get a mortgage. Nowadays, the rates have been the lowest ever. As I said, they've been at 0.5% or below for almost 10 years. They're just going to go up to 0.75%. Do you really think if the Bank of England can do what the Fed has been doing, like raising it regularly? I don't think so. If they do that, it will implode the UK economy. There's a lot of commentators apparently saying that they want to know if this rate hike, what signal the Bank of England is going to give, if it's like a one-off and they're going to wait for a while, or if it's the beginning of a trend. I don't think they can start a trend of raising interest rates, especially when you look at these statistics that Britons are living beyond their means, like never before. Some people argue though that they're not living beyond their means. It's just that they can't really afford to live because they've been looted, right? I've talked about that. The looting has happened since the crisis of '08, when the Bank of England, the government, the City of London, they've raped the public, right, to save themselves. They've printed money, they've manipulated interest rates, and they've encouraged people to keep borrowing, because in the fiat money system, if you don't keep borrowing, if you don't keep consumption, it all implodes, right? But now the Bank of England is between a rock and a hard place because people are up to here in debt, and this proves it, right? So it will be interesting to see what signal the Bank of England gives. But in my opinion, if they do accelerate the rate hikes, it could be disastrous for the economy. Is it something that they need to do? Definitely. I mean, personally, I don't think they should have saved the system in 2008. We probably would be recovering a lot better by now if we'd done in Iceland. But you can't keep this forever, right? So the next crisis is going to hurt a lot more than it would have hurt in '08 to let things implode. But politicians, bankers, they never do the right things. They always want to be bailed out. They never want to suffer the consequences. The bankers like the debt. The politicians don't like that. They like the easy money so they can buy the votes. They can keep people dependent on their welfare state, right? They can keep the warfare state going as well, as they get lobbying money from the military industrial complex. There's one here in the UK as well, even though it's not as big as in the US, right? So that's what's happening this week. Of course, we also have that famous non-farm payroll on Friday in the US. The number, in my opinion, that's well, it's not my opinion, but it's a survey. Even though almost 100 million Americans are out of work, that are within working age, are out of the workforce, we're being told that there's a shortage. The economy hasn't been as good as this for decades. Unemployment rate at 3.9%, but that's a phony rate. I suggest people go to shadowstats.com to see the real state of the U.S. economy. Of course, President Trump is using this, of course, to his advantage. And Wall Street goes along with it because it keeps their game going, right? But don't be fooled by it. And it's unfortunate because it gives businesses and potential entrepreneurs the wrong signals, right? They think that everything's great, the economy is doing well, labor market is tight, and they invest, they open up new businesses, and then all of a sudden things just like implode, right? And that's unfortunate. If you like to contribute to the channel, you can go to the Monaco 64 store. There's quite a bit of merchandise now, especially a new line of Billy Silverbug merchandise. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share it, subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. You can also follow me on Steemit, DTube, and on Twitter. Talk to you later. Take care. Bye.